time to replace it. These right here are what making that noise, and I don't think you can see that, but the little part inside as well. Finally blew out. About to change it. Gasket kit, some the oil feed gasket, and some extra oil to feed on it. Oh, that's another thing too. I don't know which one we have to prime the turbo with. I don't know which hole it is, so we're gonna have to figure that out. So gotta remove all this. Gotta start with taking this part off, disconnecting the intake, everything on top, then getting under the car, flushing all the fluids, and we're gonna get going on that. So reminder, keep in mind that this is only changing the stock turbo. Oh yeah, stock turbo. I'm not upgrading to big turbo yet. This one was super cheap, like $450. I figure why not. I'm not planning on doing anything yet, so might as well, when this blows out, then I'll go big turbo. So all right, the curse words already started. And if you've done the downpipe before, then this part is kind of easy, because you have the two plugs for the downpipe to disconnect, take off the elbow. Not necessary, but it makes it easier to find room back here. And then disconnect this guy, take this part off too, which is gonna connect to, let me get the flashlight, which is gonna connect to the turbo down there. You can kind of see it right where that bolt is, full of oil. That's not normal. That's how I know my turbo's gone. Once you take that off, you can take this part off if you want to, but as long as it's disconnected from down there, once you pull the turbo out, it's gonna disconnect like super simple. Also, make sure that you label all your vacuum lines on the side of the bypass valve if you have the stock one, or even in the aftermarket one. Once you do all that, gotta undo the oil and all that stuff, so that'll be next. All right, get the car up. We have like 1,000 jacks under, because safety first. Time to take off this panel. In my case, I'll probably end up taking the front bumper off, because I'm replacing the intercooler hose clamps with T-bolt clamps, since I suspect that I'm getting a leak from there too. Drove the car yesterday here, and it was boosting no problem, but the days before that I couldn't even get it past the 0 mark on the boost gauge, which I know is not reliable, but at least I know where it should be at. Once you have it lifted, gotta make sure that the passenger side wheel comes off, because vacuum lines you gotta take off from there. It's a lot easier to do it from the side versus the bottom, since we don't have a lift. And then gotta take off that crossbar, disconnect the downpipe to the exhaust, downpipe from the turbo, and then drain your fluids, your oil, coolant's over here. That's why you have to remove this guy. I'm gonna see if I remove this, if I have access to the downpipe, the intercooler hoses. That way I don't have to take the bumper off, but I'm a pro at that. It takes me like 10 minutes to do, so might as well just do it. All right, so while the oil was draining, just change the T-bolt clamps right here on the cooler or intercooler. Pretty easy to do. I'm still not happy with this one, because there's not a lot of graph. Like the backside of this clamp is like almost on the edge. It's maybe like not even a quarter, maybe like an eighth before it ends. But I mean, that's what it is, because then you got the sensor on top, so that's what I have to work with. We're now ready to take off the bracing. Oh, actually drain the coolant, and then take off the bracing, take down the downpipe, and then start working on that turbo, which actually makes it a lot easier to take off from down here. So that's what's next. Also, quick note, definitely take off this top part. Gives you so much room to be able to get back there. And for the vacuum lines, you might even be able to get one or two from here, but I recommend you do that from the bottom. We're gonna drain the coolant after we take out the downpipe, because the coolant really, we just open it up, let it drain. That's the end of that. And then the interesting part is gonna be after, once we actually have to take down the turbo. So no clue what we're doing. I just saw CJ Pony Parts video and I was like, easy enough, let's do it. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so I said earlier, you probably don't have to take this off. I was completely wrong. It has to come off because Ford decided to put the heat shield right on top of basically, this is your heat shield bolt, this is your heat shield bolt. You gotta take these two off so you have access to these that go to the block. So this guy has to come out, which I already have loose at the turbo. You just gotta disconnect from here somewhere. I don't want to do it with one hand because I don't want to break it. Once that comes off, you have access to the heat shield. You're good to go. And let me show you what it looks like from the bottom. Oh, Jesus. So also take off the charge pipe, the hot side that goes to here. Take that off and gives you so much room for activities now. Also, if you get rid of this guy for the rear motor mount, you can actually swing this out, which makes this space a lot bigger, so the turbo can just drop down from here. Another thing I would recommend is this line, the oil feed line. Take it off, these two bolts and then the two bolts, take them completely off because you don't want to break this. Don't even know how readily available they have this, but as you can see right here, I already took one off. You got to take the one on top. It's easier to do from the top. And then also, if you wait for your vacuum lines to label them or take them off, I will wait until you take off the charge pipe because it makes it a lot easier. So downpipe was out like in 10 minutes because we're experts now. We're certified. And so yeah, that's what's next.
We're certified.
All right, so we're like 2 hours into this, 3 almost. Only mistake we made is not draining the coolant from the actual coolants. We're draining it by the turbo.
Well, for starters, we didn't want to be going up and down with the car.
Yeah, because you gotta bring the car up and down, so it's nose down, so all the coolant is flowing out. And when I opened it up, nothing was coming out. Reason for that is too level. And as you can see, we have to take this wheel off because we had to get the vacuum lines out of the way. So what we're doing now, let me get in here, put a cup so it's not splashing all over, because as you see on the floor, kind of made a mess earlier thinking it was an oil line. Completely forgot this thing has a coolant line as well. So we just put a cup, styrofoam cup, so all the coolant gets out of there. Made a small hole at the bottom, drain it into the bucket. So yeah, just draining it from there. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, but the coolant
Or the Home Depot
plug.
logo, we are not sponsored.
The coolant plug is all the way open, but there's nothing coming out. The reason for it is we're draining on that side. But that's the only thing. I got the near T-bolt clamps on. Pretty good. Making actually good progress once you get the charge pipe out and you get the downpipe out. So much room there. And we're gonna make a quick store run for new oil and probably a little bit more coolant because I have a new jug, but we might need more than that. All right, so like 40 minutes later and the coolant drained, hence why it's a bad idea to do it from there. The only other thing I had to do, let me see if I can do this one-handed. There you go.
Oh fuck, I just took off the oil one. I need to put oil.
It's right over your head. All right, so the next thing I did is this vacuum line that goes from here to the actuator. I took it off. The reason for that is this coolant line attaches to this side back here where this finger is, but it's a pain to get it off from back here. So as you can see, it has a flex line, so you can just move it out of the way as you're pulling the turbo out. This is definitely a two-person job, taking out the turbo. Pretty sure you can do it by yourself, but it's just much better.
Oh, this one we might have to remove.
So there we go. Almost time for this to come out. All we got left these 4 bolts right here, 2 on top, 2 at the bottom. Once those come off, whole thing is ready to be pulled out. All right, finally got this sucker out. Everything looks fine as far as the fins go. So what was causing the rattle is just this part right here. So you can see it doesn't seal all the way because so much movement on that gasket, or you know, little holder thing, whatever that's called. And sometimes when it goes back out, it doesn't seal all the way, and so that's why I was losing power. So you kind of have to rev it up to open this up, and hopefully next time it comes down, you can see I can do it by hand. Like I can move it. You should not be able to do that. And as you can see how much play it has on the actuator. So go take a look at the new one. Same thing, but the actual seal piece is a little bit smaller, so it comes back on the same spot all the time. Absolutely no move, man. This is more of a solid piece versus this one, which is super thick and it has a lot of play, and so this should be a lot better. This is a stick-in turbo versus a Bock Warner from Ford, which is nice. I think all I'm going to do is I'm just going to rebuild it. Everything looks pretty solid except for this part, so I might just buy a rebuild kit for this, take this off, put a new one in, get this to a shop and get it installed. But I mean, other than that, turbo's pretty solid. So halfway there. All right, quick update. Got everything back on, got the turbo back on. So you can see, filling up the coolant. We're just defeated right now. Nothing really went wrong, but man, this is hard work. Definitely something you can do, but it'll take a couple days. As you can see, new turbo's on. Get this light. There you go. All the lines are connected, ready to go. Torque down. Some of them to spec, some of the other ones there's no specs really. It's just like tight and make sure it's not leaking. Another tip too, if you're ever going to do your downpipe, if you ever need to do any kind of work down here, take off the charge pipe. It gives you a lot of room for anything. Get your hands in here, check for things and all that stuff. So it's just this bolt right here. I can't really see it, but this one, this one right here, that one up there, this clamp, and the clamp at the turbo up there, and that's all it is. Gives you a lot of room. Just double checking everything before we try to do it. Another thing they recommend is you actually drop some oil on the turbo, spin the turbine, make sure it's lubricated, disconnect all your coils, disconnect the fuse. That's going to be over here. So you can see I already have it there. It's up there somewhere. The first one on the top left, that's the one for the fuel pump. So make sure that's off. Crank it for like 10-15 seconds, not more than that, so it feeds oil and coolant down the system. That way when you actually start it, the turbine is not starting dry, and then you're gonna have metal on metal, which definitely will defeat the purpose of putting a new one, because then that one's gonna be defective. Also broke this clip because online it says that the fuse is in here, but it's not. It's actually in the passenger side. Should have checked my manual, which I have there, but first time I ever use it. But yeah, next time you see me, we'll be starting it. Can't even talk right now. And looking for leaks. Once we're good, we still have to put the under tray, this front side of the bumper right here, putting it all back together. I decided to take off my lid once again because it just bashes on the filter right there. So yeah, once we have all that checked, fingers crossed we have no leaks. All right, so right now we're just priming the car. Once you pull the fuse and the ignition coil plugs, press on the clutch like you're gonna start a normal. Press the engine start button, and it's gonna do it for, I would say, like a good 3 to 5 seconds. So you got to do that process like, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 times. On the instructions for this turbo it says 15 seconds. I feel like that's a little much, but we're just gonna do it like, I already did it twice, 3 times or something like that, so we're gonna do a couple more times. And then once we do that, put the fuse back on, put the coils back on. Right now what my partner's doing is just checking for any leaks coming out of the lines or anything like that as the fluids are going through the system. So far so good. So
okay, click it one more
this
time.
is what you're gonna do. Hey, what's that clucking noise? Like cluck, 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 cluck. Do you hear it? You don't hear
Try it again?
I hear it. So one more time.
That's your boots trying to fucking make contact.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's your boots.
Yeah,
You
okay.
hear the fucking electricity
Yeah.
go through it.
Well, there's nothing because it's pulled, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You feel
Okay.
that, you see, you hear it.
What do you think? It's ready?
I think you're ready.
All right. Well, first time start, next time.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I mean, you're talking about something you just could press.
And you'll probably see some smoke coming out of this area, maybe. That's what we're seeing, the smoke. But what I'm really happy about is building oil pressure. Obviously the car's cold, so pressure's super high, and so far so good. Doesn't sound like oil's leaking anywhere. Good.
There's no leak.
There's no leak. I'm just gonna give it a tap.
Give it a little bit.
Wait, that sound never happened. Holy shit. Alright, so that's something that's never happened. I know I have the filter cover.
I want to hear this now with the blow-off valve. We should have stopped it.
No, because that's how I break shit. So no.
We would have built it together.
Well, I know,
we
I know.
put it together outside.
I know, but whatever happens. Yeah, but that sound, never had it on my other car. Even when my
On your other turbo.
yeah, on my
car.
same car. Yeah, my other dude. I'm tired. I'm barely any food. But yeah, that little whistle, even with the air filter box taken off, I still didn't hear it. But now it's like. Man, that sounds awesome. I'm excited now.
Is your boost building up pretty good?
When it's on neutral and I rev it, it won't build boost. There's no load on it, so
Yeah. But your oil pressure's good?
it goes up every time I rev it, which it used to do too. But as soon as I let go and it revs down, it
comes down?
Yeah.
That shit is loud.
Yeah. That never happened. That lets me know I had a boost leak from a long time ago. Yeah, awesome. All right, well, we're gonna put it together. We're probably gonna go for a test drive, and hopefully all my boost leaks and my turbo are fixed.
Shut it down so we can
And we should be good.
And also check for oil leaks. Right up there.